What's good, YouTube? Welcome back to Sad Boy Slaps. This is Captain Mingo from the Jersey Devils. And if you would like to join the Metazoo Empire, I'll link it down below in the description. It's my Instagram page where I post everything from the Metazoo Discord and all of the news updates, some deck profiles, stuff like that, artists from the community as well. If you enjoy my content, please consider liking, subscribing, and hitting that bell notification so you can stay up to date on all of my content. If you like the playmat in the background, I will link the artist's Instagram page. Her name is Beth in the description. And as always, if you want to see more Metazoo content like this, go ahead and follow Kai, Shiny Ho-Ho TCG. I'll link him down below. He'll have a better updated version of what I'm going to be running today. Because this deck is super fun, but there's so much that UFO has brought that I need to test that I can't focus on anything. But I can say this deck that I'm going to show you guys today is one of the most fun decks I have ever played. It's not the most competitive, but it's a deck you can sit down, take to your locals, take with your friends, and just have fun. Just because, like I said, it's super fun to operate. Let's get into it. And today, if you couldn't tell by the title, I will be showing you guys werewolves. So first, I like to start off with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, I had it at 10, but I cut it for a power-up red, so I am running 9 Dark Aura, 2 Blood Rubies. We run a lot of high-cost beasties, so you kind of do want to see a Blood Ruby in the beginning of the game in your starting hand. If not, it's okay, because we actually run other ways to generate aura outside of aura pages, which is pretty cool. Next, we'll get into the monsters. So, I like to run 5. You could run him at 6 of this werewolf. I like him at 5 just because I can fit other stuff in. This deck is a 45 card deck. With further playtesting, it might actually be a 50 card deck, depending on the route we end up going with this. But if you guys do not know, this is a 2-drop for Dark, 60 life points. He has the Dusk and Full Moon effect. If you speak French, this card does plus 10 damage. Arena, if Full Moon is active, this card recovers 20 life points each time it deals damage with an attack. He also has Scare on his attack, which is pretty nice. And if you control a werewolf beastie 4 or higher aura cost in the arena, this attack deals plus 15. So he'll be attacking for a good amount. And I just like him because he's a 2-drop, pretty easy to bring out. We don't run any 1-drops in this, which I guess in Seance, hopefully, fingers crossed, we get a 1-drop werewolf. That would be amazing. Next, I run Werewolf of Defiance. I think this is one of the best werewolves in this deck. I'm running the Nightfall and the new art. These are both the same card, just different art. But he is a 3-drop Dark, 65 life. This page costs 1 less to contract if Full Moon is active, and on contract he deals 25 damage to a target beastie, and that is pretty good. He gets a Full Moon Terra and a Nighttime Terra, whereas this guy gets the Dawn and Full Moon. This deck is pretty interesting because we are going for more of the Terra base build of it. Next, I think other than him, this is the werewolf that you really want to see. He is a 4-drop with Infectious, which is amazing. He has 60 life points and 30 for Full Moon and 10 for Nighttime. This page costs 3 Dark Aura if you howl like a wolf, so he's actually a 3-drop, which is pretty nice. And on contract, you may destroy opposing token beastie, so you could bring them out on a ding bell and destroy one of their tokens, which is pretty nice. Or if you're mirror matching and they do sheep and wolves, wolf and sheep or something like that, that creates 3 sheep tokens that would blow up one of the tokens. But you wouldn't really want to do that because he has infectious, so you want to crash into small stuff. Next, we'll go into the boss card of this deck, which is pretty cool. He is a 3 dark and 2 of any other color, so neutral, 70 health. He does have the Bloodsucker trait, which means whenever he deals damage, he will gain that much health back, which is pretty cool. Oh, sorry about that. And on contract, if this is the only beastie you control in the arena, so let's say you got board wiped and you have him in your hand, and you play him, you may contract werewolves from the cemetery or limbo until the end of the turn with this guy. I mean, yes, that is a high cost because it is 3 dark and 2 of any other color, so you won't have too much aura left over for the others. But that's why we're running this kind of, we have other ways of producing aura, which makes this a little bit more realistic. And you could also play neutrality aura for that specifically. And we also have a couple other targets for neutrality aura. What I do like about this deck is I would say it's very, very, very budget friendly. I would say it costs about 20 bucks to make. You could take out a couple of the cards, because I do run more cards that would cost over 20 bucks, but they shouldn't matter too much. Like, one of the cards I could think of is first year anniversary celebrations. You could easily replace that with a toxic water for budget friendly if you don't want to spend the money on that card. But next, let's get into the best card in the deck. It's a spell, Wolf Among Sheep. That's the card. So this card has 2 effects. It's a 2-drop. And you can place target beastie with 2 or less aura into the owner's chapter. So if you're going against an elemental deck, just put one of the light elementals back. Or the really good effect, this is a 4 per spell book, by the way. The next werewolf you contract costs 3 less aura to contract. So you can combo this into him or any of our others. The one you really want to pair this with is him, though. I'll explain why right now. But the next beastie you or werewolf beastie you contract costs 3 less aura to contract. Each opposing caster creates and controls 3 sheep tokens with 10 life points and 10 damage. So this is pretty good because yes, you're giving them tokens, but that's why I said this guy's the best pair, because he has infectious. So for every one of the tokens you just created and you attack with him and destroy it, you create another copy of him, basically, because of infectious. So you can really, really spam the board. Also, if your opponent doesn't realize that he has infectious, which a lot of people forget because they don't really, that's not a trait we really see too much of. Those 3 sheep token, they'll try to crash it into him to make him to 30 life and then finish him off with the other monster. But if they do that, he would just create 3 tokens of himself, which would be amazing. So this card's really, really good. Not only that, but I run this at 4 because we do have 9 targets for this card, which is pretty high. So I like it in that sense. I mean, I'd rather give my opponent a bunch of weak tokens to bring out my big monsters than anything, so I really like that card. Next, we're running 2 Death Beam. I did run this at 4, but it does get a little cloggy because all of these cards are very high cost, so we don't really have too much for early game. I do like it at 2. You could play test around and use Hateful Demise instead, but I like Death Beam just because not everything has 2 traits or spell proof, so that's my reasoning behind that. Next, 1 Zombie Apocalypse. If this deck did not have a board wipe, I would say this deck is pretty low tier, but the fact that this deck can run a board wipe makes it extremely viable, which I really, really like. We run 2 bookmarks just to draw twice. We run 1 Caster's Cup Celebrations. You'll see why in a second. We run 2 first-year anniversary celebrations, so what I really like about this is if you notice, we don't really run too many traits, and the traits that we do have, we could afford not using them for a turn or two. What this does is this nullifies all traits for 2 turns. Yeah, so it goes your turn, your opponent's turn, and at the end of your turn, the traits go back on, which is pretty nice. So if you're going against any spirits, any flying, anything you need, you could just take it out with that. And it also deals 25 damage to something on top of that. Next, we're running New Year's New Beginnings. I like to play this card when when I've played my entire hand, and then make my opponent go negative whatever they have in their hand. Or if I really need to, and I have a bunch of cards I don't need, I could just use this, dump those cards, and get a fresh hand, which is pretty nice. I use Next Chapter also, just because I like draw power. We are running this at 45, so I do like a little bit of extra drawing in there. We bookmark 1 and then fix our hand. Only downside, our opponents get to fix their hand, but that's fine with me. Just because we do go +1 still. The next card is Power Up Red. That's pretty self-explanatory. It gives any monster 100 on top of whatever they already have. So we can use this for our Ozark Howler, so he just create more infectious tokens, and it just gets nasty at that point. Now, next is the really interesting part. This is 40 all right here. So you could technically run it at this, but I like to run it with 2 of these guys. The reason why I like the Terra orbs in this deck specifically is because of Caster Cup Celebrations, 1. Number 2, this is a dark card that does generate extra dark aura, because people are going to look at it and not really be scared, because it just makes Dawn active for 2 turns. Well, 3 technically. But yeah, they're not going to really see this as too much of a threat. But if you use it in the way to pump out more mana, because we have so much high cost stuff, that makes this card pretty good. Not only that, if we need to protect one of our monsters from battle damage, we could always put this under as a trap, and then this is basically 100 health now, because we put a 30 extra health as defense, and when that breaks open and is destroyed, we boost all of our monsters that get the Dawn bonus, which is pretty nice. So this has some utility in this deck, and it's pretty fun. I haven't really tried these in any other deck, but this deck, I would say these are pretty viable in here. Next, we run 1 Dawn Terra, just to have one that doesn't leave after 3 turns. We play 1 Full Moon. This one doesn't really matter too much because you have to have nighttime out, but if you do have nighttime out, whenever a beastie destroys another beastie, that beastie recovers 20 life points, which is pretty cool. We can use this in case we're going against any opposite decks, so like anything that uses dusk, light, or nighttime, just boom, bring this out and then destroy any of those, which is pretty nice. Or is that for, yeah, it's for Dawn, so we use that in that sense, but we just use these mostly to boost all of our monsters. And since we are running 5 Terra, that makes this card that much better, because this, for every Terra and Terra Orb we control in the arena, it boosts all of our monsters +10/+10. So if we have the dream, if we have all 5 of these out, all of our monsters gain +50/+50 until the end of the turn. So that is pretty good in that sense. Even if you are a competitive person, I would recommend you give this deck a try, just because I think when playing a card game, all that matters is the fact that it's fun to play. And this deck has such like neat little interactions you can do with it that make it pretty fun. But by all means, I am not a dark player. That's my boy Kai. He'll have a better, more competitive profile, unless this is already competitive. I don't know. This is just something I built to have fun with, but I know he could put a little bit more time than I can in this and love to make this really work. I just have so many decks that I'm working on that I can't focus on just one right now to make super competitive. I'm just trying to see everything in UFO before I can start making everything competitive, because I need to know what's good and what's bad. And I would say this is one of the good ones. And it's werewolves. Who doesn't want to play werewolves? That makes it super fun. So yeah, if you guys haven't already, go ahead and hit that like, subscribe button, hit the bell notification to stay up to date on all of my videos, because I do a bunch of cool deck profiles that are different. It's not just, oh hey, here's a dark deck. It's like, oh, here's dragons, here's demons, here's headless, here's werewolf. So I will catch you guys in the next video, and until next time, peace. One more thing I forgot to mention, sorry about that guys, but if you do want to make this more budget friendly and you don't want to spend a lot of money, all you really need is just this guy. You could replace this, you could replace these 4 cards here, right here, with any cards of your choice, whether it be like toxic waters, just 4 toxic waters, or whatever you feel like this deck needs, or you could just take these 4 out and run this at 41, which would be another option. But that's only if you want to go the super budget friendly route. And I just thought that'd be a neat little tip for you guys, because other than that, this should cost you around like 20 bucks to make. He's the most expensive one. I think he's going for like either 8 on TCG Player right now, either 8 or 10, but you just need him. These 2 are like $3, and the rest are literally a couple cents.